I'm Chris.
I'm Stefan. Hey, introduce yourself.
Well, Jeremy was looking at me, so I don't know. Are we supposed to do that again now?
No. We'll just keep rolling.
I enjoyed it.
This is exactly what happened in the first episode.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I'm Stefan, and we're supposed to introduce our own guests. Actually, that should be a thing. Have our guests introduce us.
I will start the tradition. I'm Chris, and I'm fortunate enough to be the first ever guest on the Off the Chain podcast, hosted by Jeremy and Stefan today, and I am truly grateful for their offer to allow me onto their esteemed podcast.
Yeah, well, Troy couldn't be here this week, so we squeezed you in.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, really.
So, Stefan, how was your week?
Oh my gosh, my week's been really good. I found a place that sells kale, which apparently is pretty hard to find in Japan.
Like, it solely sells kale, like a cheese shop or something?
Yeah, it's a kale specialty shop. They have the frilliest kale. They have this kale that's kind of flat. They have blue kale. They have some nice fresh green looking kale. No, it's just a vegetable store with kale.
See, why? I mean, everyone's all about kale. But, I mean, Stefan, you seem to be a bit of an expert, so why don't you share with us some of the potential benefits of kale consumption?
I don't know. All I hear is it's a super vegetable. I'm actually more partial to spinach.
Oh, yeah.
I get more spinach, yeah. But my roommate wants kale, so I don't know. I just found kale, and I was like, "Hey, Ryan, I have kale."
So that was the highlight of your week, was finding this kale shop?
Yeah, because it's so hard to find. And actually, I found brown rice, too.
Whoa!
Yeah. Oh.
Thanks, Morty.
Thanks, Molly?
Morty.
Oh, Morty.
Yeah, we watched Rick and Morty recently.
Yeah, that's so good.
I know, I binged the whole thing. There's only 2 seasons, it was easy to binge.
Yep.
See, I like it, but I really dislike Morty's worried sound, which is what Jeremy was just trying to replicate.
No, I was trying to replicate, like, in the Japanese movies, how they always have that other saying, whoa.
Oh, I haven't seen enough Japanese movies then.
Yeah, oh, don't worry, Jeremy, I got your reference. That's what happens when you live in Japan for this long.
Anything else new?
You know, what I did, actually, is I went to the ryokan in Takayama.
What's that?
It's the Japanese-style hotel.
So what makes it Japanese style?
Well, they have tatami on the floor. They have...
What's that? I don't know anything.
I'm Googling it.
I don't know, it looks like a...
Oh, it's like softish.
Bamboo. Yeah, it's kind of soft. Yeah, don't wear your shoes on that.
Oh, it's something they have in like dojos and whatever.
Yeah, in traditional Japanese buildings.
Tea rooms, apparently. Now, Stefan, I've got to ask. You've been in Japan for a while. Do a lot of like houses and buildings there have those funny sliding doors that I see sometimes?
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
And
I do like
they even
those.
have they have modern versions of those doors too. So it's not just like, you know how you would picture like bamboo.
Yeah.
No, they have modern wooden doors as well.
Fascinating. Maybe if I'm rich enough, I'll put some Japanese doors in my house.
Well, if I'm rich enough, I would actually get a Japanese garden. And maybe get like a double sliding door to my Japanese garden. Jeremy, how was your week?
Well, what did I do this week? I finished my honors. I had my first exam yesterday. I had my first exam on the 22nd. The last exam date is the 25th. So, yeah, you know.
And what exam is that?
444, measurements and evaluation. It's just like a class about testing fitness.
I mean, your last exam.
Oh, my last exam. Oh, chemistry.
Oh,
the least essential of the sciences. Chemistry 102 is the last course of my undergrad degree.
How can you even say the least central of the sciences?
Okay, you know, we'll debate that in a future pedantic semantics. What else did I do this week? Nothing really. Got my first squash lesson, which was really exciting. Squash is coming along nicely. I almost beat Wilson. We played for that batch of cookies about a week and a bit ago. And the deal was that if I beat him in a set, he owed me a batch of cookies, and if I didn't, then I owed him. And he beat me 3-0 the first match we played, and then he beat me 3-1 the second match we played. I'm not sure how hard he was going, but regardless, I would have done that the first time. And then we played just a few days ago, and I won the first set, and then he won the second set 12-10, and then won the third set, and then won the fourth set 12-10 or something like that. So it was really close. So it was still 3-1, but two of the sets were really, really close. I think it was like 12-10, 12-10, and then he won like 11-5 or something.
Wait, who is this you were playing?
Wilson.
I don't know Wilson.
Is he the head of the squash club?
No, I couldn't beat that at the squash club. He's just a friend of mine who introduced me to squash. He's in my program, and he's like my squash arch nemesis.
What? I thought that Ryan was your squash nemesis.
Oh, I'm playing him on Wednesday.
Oh, are you playing for cookies?
No, but I should. But I'm leaving on Thursday, so we'd have to make the cookies pretty quickly. Other than that, Gregory Gaultier, the number one squash player in the world, is coming to Victoria on May 13th. And I'm not going to be here, which is kind of shitty, but hopefully I spot him in France while he's there.
No, it's like the Mina thing all over again.
Yeah, like with Mina in LA. Yeah. So that's pretty exciting.
You're just not that lucky.
How was your week, Chris?
Pretty normal, really. I mean, exams. I only have 2, so I was lucky. And I had plenty of time to study for them. Not that that really increased my study output. Had my first exam yesterday. Swam a whole bunch, as per usual.
Oh, what about your race with John?
That's true. I guess me and Jeremy have had our own little personal battles in the sporting arena. I was challenged by a fellow swimmer to a 3K run after, well, I guess it all started when I was reminiscing about my glory days of high school track and cross country. And this guy proceeded to do the same and reminisce about his glory days of track and cross country, and he thought that he could knock me off in a 3K run. But, I really showed who was the alpha male in the track arena. Jeremy was fortunate enough to be there.
Yeah.
To witness the moment.
I really wish Olivier would have raced. That would have been fun.
Yeah. Jeremy had a friend there. So he's in the kin department, right?
Yeah.
And he quite an impressive track resume. I guess he came along for a laugh.
Well, we went and studied after that.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it was those little battles are always very satisfying to win. I was actually I'm kind of ashamed to admit how nervous I was for it because I didn't want my pride to take a beating. But yeah, 3K run, and I got the job done.
Yeah, and you're still recovering.
I'm still recovering. I could hardly walk the next day. I haven't run for a very long time. And I mean, my fitness is still quite good, given the amount of swimming that I do, but the specific, tolerance to running was completely absent. And I've been helping myself with my hands in and out of chairs for the past few days. I'm starting to recover now, but it was a long 2 days, I can tell you that much, from a walking perspective.
See, that's what I felt like when we went for that run in Medford in California.
Oh, yeah.
Except imagine sitting in a car for hours driving after that.
It just makes me so disappointed in your fitness. You take like 2 weeks off of swimming, you go for a run and can't walk.
I'm telling you, man, running takes it out of you if you don't do it.
It was a light jog. We didn't race, and we didn't go 3K either.
All right, maybe it was a bit more embarrassing then.
We must have done about 3K.
Okay, well, we did no more than 3K.
We ran for half an hour.
No. Did we?
Yeah.
You can get through a fair distance.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it was at a much, much lower intensity than Chris ran. And I wasn't sore.
I mean, my pride wasn't on the line, though, so...
Yeah. So I guess that was probably the highlight of my otherwise relatively uneventful week.
Oh, whenever I actually finished my week, sorry, because I went to the ryokan, right? And then we got distracted by Japanese gardens. But anyways.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was actually a really nice little vacation. And there were just a bunch of shops. It was a very Japanese touristy place. And there were a ton of Chinese and French people. So it made me think of both you and Troy. And I actually have one story of one of the kids I was teaching. So it is a new school year. The school year here starts in April. And so I have a ton of new students. And all of those hello class kids. So the hello class, the kids go with their moms, and they're usually 0 to 3 years old. And then when they move up to preschool level, they're about 3 to 6 years old, and they go without their moms. So we have a lot of kids who freak out because they're no longer with their mothers. And this one kid seemed absolutely fine. Like everything was going well. They were fine without their mom. And we asked them basic questions at the beginning of every lesson. And the one basic question is, how old are you? And so they usually stick their fingers up because they can't remember the number in English. So then we count together.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So
I played squash with Olivier and he made me count in French.
like count points, keep track of points in French.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be so hard to remember.
It wasn't too bad, but it slowed the pace of the game down.
Yeah, so it's like that with these kids. So they'll hold up 3 fingers and you're like, okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm 3 years old. Anyways, one of the other questions is, what school do you go to? And so it's a new question for any of the preschool kids when they're moving up from the hello class. And I asked this one kid, what school do you go to? But I think they misinterpreted the question. So each question has a set of actions to go along so that they can remember it easier. And whenever you say, what school do you go to? You hold up 2 fingers to represent the 2. And now I understand that it's a different 2 than the number 2, but the kid didn't. And he thought that I was saying he was 2 years old. And he was like, no. And he kept holding up 3 fingers. And I was like, no, I'm just trying to get you to say what school you go to. And this was such a sore point for him. He started crying because he thought I was telling him that he was 2 years old.
More Japanese beaks, Stefan.
Yeah, but this kid was nice. I didn't want to beak him.
Okay, well, I think we should get to Chris's life story. A little summary of Chris as a person here.
How did I end up here?
Well, I think you could start with where you're from and what you do, and maybe some of your high school days, because those seem interesting.
Yeah, some of your track and field days.
Yeah, touch on that.
They're not really that interesting, even though I like to think they are. Well, I'm from Adelaide in South Australia. Got into swimming when I was about 9 years old. Was quite bad, I must admit. 9 is a little bit late to start swimming, and I was pretty slow for the first few years there. And I guess Jeremy was also a bit of a late bloomer as well.
Well, I don't know if I ever bloomed, but I started late.
And yeah, but then as the years went by, I practiced more and more, and that led me, after high school was done, after the glory days of track and cross country that we just touched on, decided that Adelaide was always going to be there, and I'd like to go see somewhere else while I was young and able. And I went overseas to the US. It was exciting, a little bit scary, obviously.
Well, how old were you?
17 when I left.
And you experienced snow for the first time.
Yes. I mean, I had skied in Australia, mind you. However, I had never seen snow
I thought Australia was a desert.
Australia's a big place. And believe it or not, there is some snow. There is some skiing. But yes, there is a lot of desert. Unfortunately, that's Jeremy's mind is only capable of seeing Australia as a desert. I saw snow in a town, so that was exciting. So I spent some time in the States, came home when the coach unfortunately moved on, and the program kind of collapsed a little bit. I decided enough is enough. I had my little adventure, went back home, got a little bit bored of Adelaide, I guess, and here I am in Victoria doing the same thing, I guess, just swimming and studying and seeing where both of those take me, and I guess they've taken me to this podcast today.
So what kind of swimming have you transitioned to? Because I know that now you swim open water, but before you weren't necessarily an open water swimmer.
Okay, that's a good question, actually. I started swimming long distance because no one else did it, and I wanted to win some medals because I was too slow to win them in anything else. Eventually practiced, a lot of distance stuff, and ended up swimming the longest distances that are offered, essentially. in the open water. I mean, for those listening who are not part of the swimming community, swimming in the pool, the longest event is a 1500 meter freestyle, and then at the Olympics now there is also the 10 kilometer. They call it the marathon swim. I don't really like to call it a marathon because the true marathon is 42 Ks, but it's a 10K open water swim in the ocean or lakes. That's kind of the avenue that I went down once I started to get a bit older and started to specialise a little bit more. I did used to swim some other strokes. I guess when I was 15, 16, that's when I started to progress quite a bit more with my swimming. I started to take it quite seriously. I was fortunate enough to end up on an Australian junior team in 2012. Thought I was the king of the world at that point. And then I swam at the 2012 Olympic trials in Australia in the 200 metre breaststroke in an event that I'm sure I will never go. I'm never going to do the times that I did in breaststroke that I did when I was 16 years old, because now I pretty much focus solely on the 10K open water.
That's weird. 200 breaststroke. I did not even expect that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, for people who aren't really involved in swimming, kind of unusual for a long distance freestyle swimmer to also be swimming some breaststroke as well. So yeah, swam lots of different stuff when I was younger, and now pretty much focus solely on the open water stuff, because I figure if I'm ever going to take my swimming anywhere at the international level, then it would be in the 10K. And I mean, I'm just going to keep going until I stop improving, and Victoria seemed like a nice place to go and keep improving, which I fortunately am still doing. You know, it'll be interesting to see how far my improvement is gonna take me. I'll just keep going for now. Don't really know where it's gonna be, but we'll see how we go. Jeremy's supporting me.
I'm supporting you too. This kind of reminds me of my attitude towards swimming as well. Thanks, but Stephen. I think that you have a better chance of going somewhere.
It's all about personal improvement and how far you can go.
I went on for a long time.
So you chose Victoria because
the 10K open water, it's sometimes hard to find programs that, I mean, there are programs that cater for it, but it's hard to find programs that are good at it. And Victoria, fortunate enough to be the home of the previous world champion, an Olympic medalist, and another world championship medalist, and a triple Olympian. So I guess as far as open water swimming goes, I shouldn't look any further than Victoria. I mean, a lot of people say, Australians in particular, say, why Canada? I mean, Canada is a good swimming country, but doesn't have the same consistent international performances usually as some of the more dominant swimming countries. I'm also a Canadian citizen, which made it easy to come here. But the squad at Victoria was pretty suitable for anyone really looking to develop their open water skills. And like I said, that's kind of what I'm just trying to specialise in now. My breaststroke days are long gone.
You remember the time we raced the 25 breaststroke with Brandon after practice?
Yeah, I won that, didn't I?
You did win that.
Thank God.
That was at the beginning of the season, though, when you might have still had some of your breaststroke skill.
Yeah, probably. I think my breaststroke, I mean, I can't...
you literally only chained freestyle now?
I actually swam the best time for the 200 breast short course.
Oh, what? I thought you said you wouldn't go as fast as your 16-year-old self.
Yeah, long course. I doubt I'm going to get down to those long course breaststroke times again.
Also, I like your reaction to that race. Finding out that you won again. Oh, thank God. Still about the pride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I had to sort through the memories of the other times that I challenged people at the end of practice and didn't go as well, such as challenging Jeremy in a 50 freestyle and also Brendan in a 25 freestyle, which I lost heavily in both.
Okay, well, you would challenge me in a 50 free while I was still doing a set of fast 50 frees, and you'd be done practice and warmed down.
Yeah.
And the last one we raced, I beat you by like 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, it was pretty slow by me, and pretty fast by Jeremy. But
Thank you.
But mostly pretty slow.
I think that was the fastest 50 free I did all season.
Yeah, I guess it kind of fired Jeremy up. Like I said, like those one-on-one battles against friends, you don't want to lose those. Like, I mean, those times when your pride is on the line, I get so nervous for those. I guess that's the over-competitive nature of me. Like, I mean, like, you know how people would criticize kids that are too competitive in gym class?
Yeah.
I was that kid. I don't like losing. I mean, people are like, it's just for fun, but it's more fun when you win.
Well, adding the competitive element to it, I think, makes it more fun inherently.
Yeah, exactly.
You just raise the level of performance. Add something to it.
Thanks for agreeing with me.
So, do you have any more questions for Chris here, Stefan? Like any of his life story questions? Because we got a couple of questions we got to ask him from our listeners. Anything about who he is as a person?
Well, have I missed out anything of how I ended up here? I mean, I like swimming, and Victoria is good for my event. That's the short story.
Well, how was your time in America? And do you prefer Canada or America?
That is a good question. America was very fun. It was different. I mean, obviously there are a lot of similarities. I mean, Canada, Australia, and America, they're all Western countries. At home, most people stay at home for university, and university is pretty boring and uneventful in Australia. In fact, you rarely even have to actually go into university. Like, most of your lecture stuff is online. Yeah, I mean, so university in America was way more fun than Australia, I will be honest. I guess that's kind of why I got extra bored when I went back to Adelaide, having been in America already. I guess that makes me sound a little bit spoiled, but I kind of wanted to go travel again. I mean, I knew Adelaide was always going to be there. So America was very fun and different to the university culture at home. We don't have university sports at home either. Like, I mean, the NCAA in America is huge, and the CIS competition in Canada is also quite solid, although I guess it doesn't get the same publicity as the NCAA.
We're just straight up not as good.
Yeah.
All our good swimmers go there.
Oh, well, I mean, it helps when you've got a population that's, 6 times bigger than
About 10
Canada's.
times.
Yeah.
And all the money, too.
Anyway, yeah, so America was good, and do I like Canada or America better? What specifically are you asking, Stefan? Is that just a general question? Or,
Yeah, just a general question.
I
mean, you can focus on different aspects.
I don't want to offend anyone.
That's what
I think you could say neutral then. You don't have to commit to anything.
I
won't take it personally.
I like the swimming here. I like the program here, and I do like how Canadian people are much more laid back, and they are much less ignorant of the world around them. I will be honest, that American stereotype unfortunately struck me as true with a lot of their people. But I mean, both Canadian and American people are very welcoming and inclusive of me coming from another country.
Except for Brandon.
They're pretty similar, honestly. Like, sometimes the whole America, we're number one thing annoys me. Sometimes it's not a bad thing, honestly. Like, I mean, if you people love your country, then who can blame them? Yeah, I mean, I did get asked more dumb questions in America than I did in Canada, that's for sure. Like people ask me, like, do you have Christmas in Australia and just crap like that? Like, come on, like, what the hell? Like,
do you have winter? Why don't you have any snow? Oh wait, Jeremy's one of them.
Yeah, and then like, oh, what, your seasons are backwards? Yeah, don't you even know what the bloody northern southern hemisphere is, you bloody yank? But anyway. So I like them both. I like the people are different in both. American people seem a bit more extroverted than the Canadian people that I'm used to, but I mean, I haven't really got a big sample to draw from, so I can't, comment on the entire population. But that was just my general feeling. So I like both of them. If I had to choose one to live in,
it'd be Australia.
Out of Canada and America, Canada. If I had to choose one to visit for a few weeks, America. So that's my answer.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll always live in Australia, I'll be honest.
He has pitched Australia quite well. So we got some questions from our listeners for you here, Chris.
That's exciting.
So the first one is, what's your favorite food?
I
have to preface this with Chris eats more food and is less picky than anybody I have ever met by far.
What?
Okay, yeah, that's
Oh
true.
God, yeah.
I will eat anything that is a acceptable food item.
Even if it's not acceptable, I got a story about some Brussels sprouts. So
no, don't eat the shampoo.
There's some Brussels sprouts. Yeah, that's not read in link, but he probably would be. There's some frozen Brussels sprouts, correct? Or were they refrigerated?
They were in the fridge and they were starting to go a bit funny.
Yeah, okay. They were starting to go a bit funny, and he's like, man, I really need to eat these before they go bad. So he cuts them in half and then swallows them like a pill with some water.
I didn't want to waste them.
And he's like, oh, they feel so bad. But then he kept drinking and eating them.
I got through a lot of Brussels sprouts with that method. And didn't have to taste them. Just straight down the hatchet. But okay, favourite food. Yep, I will eat anything that is an acceptable food item and slightly beyond, I guess, thanks to that little Brussels sprout story. Can confirm that was no exaggeration. I completely did do that. I realised soon after starting eating those Brussels sprouts that I had to cut them a little bit smaller than halves because they were getting like stuck in my throat and stuff.
They weren't slimy enough. They hadn't turned bad enough yet.
I should have slimed them up somehow.
Oil.
Yeah, oil or butter or something. But yeah, favourite food, ice cream. I'm problem eater of ice cream. I managed to control myself to only eating it once every 1 or 2 weeks.
But he eats a whole tub at a time.
Yes, I will go through an entire tub, not just the little tubs. We're talking like the family ones.
Oh, such a good thing that you're an open water swimmer.
Yeah, I'll consume the whole thing in 1 or 2 sittings. Usually the only thing that stops me is I get too cold. It does not make me feel sick. I will continue to eat it unstoppably. Well, I can eat seriously bizarre amounts of ice cream, I think. I mean, there's probably some people out there who eat more than me, but...
Not many.
I do enjoy ice cream, and I figure you can only gain so much weight by eating it in one big sitting, as opposed to spreading it out.
Well, if you're swimming 8K practices and like 8K doubles and stuff, like...
That's true.
You burn more calories than most people in the world.
Yeah, I mean, for swimming people and non-swimming people out there, most of our practices, in fact, all of our practices are 8 kilometers or more, and there are 9 of those per week. One of them per week is only between 5 and 6 Ks, but that's at a slightly higher intensity. But even the 8K ones are at a pretty high intensity. We don't just swim back and forth in a leisurely fashion.
You swim back and forth in an intense fashion.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, we're swimming 70 kilometers a week. Fortunately, the coach doesn't have too much of a problem with tasty treats like that. In fact, he had me over for Christmas dinner and was like trying to feed me so many shortbread cookies. I must have had so many of them. And he also offered me beers, which I politely declined, considering there was a major competition a few weeks away. Yeah, ice cream is definitely my favourite food.
Palmer would have taken those beers.
He probably would have, yeah.
So the next question we have here is, I guess you kind of already answered this, but like, where would you like to visit out of anywhere in the world?
If I had to visit somewhere I'd already been, Hawaii. Yeah, foreign destination, definitely Hawaii. If I had to visit somewhere I have not been, that sounds interesting. Jeez, I haven't really been to Europe. Let's say, Scandinavia. For the women.
I hope you were going to say France for the same reason.
Nah.
It's France for the accent. Scandinavia for the women.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, French people, I feel like I wouldn't blend with their culture as well.
So the last question we have is from Troy, who couldn't be here this week, so he wanted to put a little bit of himself in this. And he asks, if you had to choose between eating a durian or doing an open water swim wearing a bikini, which would you do?
Oh, I mean, I'd choose to do an open water swim in a bikini by my own free will, just about. I've never seen a how do you pronounce it?
I think it's a durian.
Yeah, durian.
Durian, whatever you call it. All I know is it smells.
Oh god, it is so terrible.
Okay.
Troy's dad likes them.
Well, I mean, I did say I would eat anything.
I'm not going to buy one to find out, but
it would probably go down better than those Brussels sprouts.
Probably, they were very hard to eat.
The consistency of the durian gets me, and it tastes like fart.
What's the consistency?
It's like mushy.
Yeah.
It's fleshy. Yeah. It's like a flesh.
Oh, okay.
And it smells. Yeah,
it smells like it covers the whole house, and it's just like putrid.
I would do the swim. What type of bikini? Like, are we talking a real skimpy one, like G-string type stuff?
I think one of those ones that like.
It's an 18 hours.
I
think it's like one of those like string ones that like Borat wears, where it like
a mankini,
the shoulders. Yeah,
a mankini. I'd go the mankini or a bikini. Whichever.
That sounds like that would be really uncomfortable, actually, to swim in for 10K.
Over 10K.
Yeah, so is it a 10K?
Yeah, I would go for the 2-piece.
No, I'd do the swim.
Okay, so I guess we're going to move on to our semantics and pedantics section, where we debate which is superior, the prequels or the originals of Star Wars.
Wow, this is a huge question.
What?
Okay,
I'm sorry. I'm still surprised that you even watched Star Wars.
I mean, I guess
thanks to me.
Yeah, I do have to say. Okay, so I have never seen Star Wars until this Christmas, where I watched all of them with Chris. And that includes Rogue One twice and the 7th one. and then all the Family Guy parodies. So I watched a lot of Star Wars in that Christmas break.
Jeez, we did,
and Chris cut out that part about Leia from the prequels, so I didn't know that going into the original.
This is like one of the proudest things I've done in my life.
I appreciate it. I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm taking Jeremy through Star Wars, and we started with the prequels. Sorry to the traditionalists out there. I believe you start with the prequels and you start with the storyline, especially for someone who has never seen any of the Star Wars movies, and the only thing he knew was that Darth Vader was Luke's father.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's the way that George Lucas intended them to be too, right? The only reason why he started with the 4th episode is because that was the one that he could get the production company to back.
The effects, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the effects.
Yeah, I mean, I know like one of the reasons he was able to go like do the prequels in the first place was because like all the stuff that he envisioned was now possible with like computer stuff. But yeah, so I'm taking Jeremy through these episodes, and I realise there's going to be the highly emotional scene where Padme gives birth at the end of episode 3. And she's gonna name Luke and Leia, and we fast forwarded that bit, and Jeremy was then able to not only experience the prequels prior to the originals, but he was also able to experience finding out that Leia was Luke's twin.
Yeah, I also didn't know about Palpatine either. I didn't know that whole thing.
So good.
So that's why I think watching the prequels first. I think the prequels are better than the originals, because I like the more modernization of it. I do question Anakin's acting a little bit, but despite that, I enjoy the storyline, and that fight scene from episode 3 is truly amazing. And like episode 3 as a whole is really, really good.
Wait, which Anakin are you questioning?
The Anakin from the prequels, like the one with the long hair and he's like really angsty.
The adult one.
Not the kid one, the adult one. The kid one was all right.
I didn't mind the kid. I mean,
I thought the kid was terrible.
Yeah.
And I thought the adult was all right.
I think George Lucas got close to having some good prequels, but it is definitely tainted by some of the dialogue.
Yes, I know, right? And see, that's my argument. I think that the actor for adult Anakin, was not terrible. It was his dialogue that was terrible. If you look at what he's actually saying, what kind of actor would actually be able to pull that off?
I mean, no, okay, that's true, but I mean, I think some of the way he delivers some of the lines, like when he talks about the sand and how it's so coarse, it's so cringy. He's so creepy. He's just so creepy the whole time.
Yeah,
because
but like,
he was
George
so
Lucas told him
into
to do
it.
that. Like, they could have nailed the whole Anakin and Padme thing, and they bloody stuffed it up. But
Yeah.
well, that's the way it is. Let's just accept that he was a bit of a weirdo in his teen years.
I was gonna say, I actually agree with Jeremy. Like, I enjoyed the first 3 movies based on like just the visuals alone, but I appreciate the original 3 based on the storytelling.
Oh yeah, I mean the original 3 storyline is definitely a better narrative, I guess.
I'm not really a fan of the originals because I don't know, like I agree, the storyline's just not as good, and like the quality of production is not as good. I don't hold it against it, it's just I just don't like it as much. And I think a lot of people value it more because they have like the original is always better kind of mindset, or it has like some nostalgic value to them.
Oh, I think the nostalgic value, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think that inherently makes them better though. I think people just choose to view them that way.
So if they had less cringy stuff and a slightly better storyline in the prequels, they would have been by far and away the superior movies.
Yes.
Yeah, but people still might have not agreed because they would have been like, oh,
Yeah,
but like
that's true.
you can't beat the originals, just like people do with songs.
But I would have agreed.
Well, it's settled then. The prequels are superior.
What? No, that's not what we were saying.
I thought that's how we were summing it up.
No, because there are things that I appreciate from both sides. I don't know.
So which do you think are better then?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Because I think I'm biased just based on nostalgia. Because I did watch the original 3 when I was a kid. You know, with my uncles. Or my dad.
Ah, yes, that lad sesh.
That lad sesh? Is that one of the Australian sayings?
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. Yeah, okay, I understand that, but I still think the prequels are better, just straight up. If you disagree with us, you can email us at offthechainpod@gmail.com if you want to voice your argument.
But you can't just say, blah, 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 the originals are better. You have to provide some logical
I would
reasons.
hope that anybody who's saying that the original 3 are better would actually just say because they're original.
No, don't prompt them.
And you can't just say because Anakin says, I don't like sand. You got to have some substance to the argument.
Or with Jar Jar. Jar Jar's not that
Okay,
great.
yeah, I mean, he definitely makes them worse.
But he didn't play a very big role. Like, after the first one, he was out.
Apart, I mean, yeah, he wasn't a big on-screen role, but the idiot gave Palpatine emergency powers. An idiot.
Yeah, but R2-D2 saved the day every
That's true.
freaking episode. So.
Yes, one thing that I think everyone needs to agree on and be more appreciative of, something that Jeremy pointed out to me, is that R2-D2 is the unsung hero of the whole series. He's not just a much-loved character. He's the hero. But he does some crazy stuff. If you watch them again, you notice it.
Yeah, I think he definitely, like, without R2-D2, they would have died a dozen times.
Exactly.
So I guess we're on to the, we'd like to talk to you about some Australian slang terms and phrases.
That's exciting.
So I'm going to share the ones that I've learned from living with you without you looking at my screen. So we got for the lads.
That's not.
What are you talking to me? That's a right ripper.
None of these are real.
And I hear you guys like shrimp on the Barbie.
Okay. Alright, I'm going to address all of these one at a time. The first one, for the lads, is a somewhat of a bastardisation of Australian slang by a member of the UPIC swimming team. I guess I just started using the word lads.
We say lad sesh all the time.
Yeah, okay, that's true. I was saying lads a whole bunch, and then this one guy decided that for the lads was going to be the new saying. And you know what? The whole team has embraced it. In fact, our team group chat is now named For the Lads. And so I guess that's a little bit of a cultural hybrid, considering someone's taken some Australian slang and turned it into a saying of their own that has now been embraced by a large group. And what are you talking about? I feel like there are going to be some people listening to this who have heard that.
Yeah, along with ye nah.
Yeah, both important components of Australian culture now, following the release of the Big Les show, which is definitely worth watching the entire thing in one go.
Not even a little bit.
You are out there listening. I highly recommend the Big Les show for some laughs. And,
I only managed the first couple episodes, and then I forgot
and
about
you got
it.
sick of it? Yeah.
No,
See,
I
the
just
first couple
forgot
of
about it.
episodes, yeah, there's not really much happening in the first season. I'll give you that much. But once you get to season 2, I promise that you will find some very memorable quotes.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and visit that then.
Thoroughly enjoy your time. For those of you who don't know what the Big Les show is, it is a very strange Australian cartoon comedy that is, it's not a real show, it's just uploaded to YouTube and it's made in Microsoft Paint. Extremely vulgar Australian humour with some bizarre characters.
I think your time would be much better spent watching Avatar instead of a Big Les show.
I think you should watch both. You know, you've got to have a variety.
Or Rick and Morty.
Or Rick and Morty.
So yeah, what are you talking about is a catchphrase of one of the characters from that show. That's a right ripper is Jeremy's own little saying that he's created from the word ripper, which means, I mean, like, let's say I'm reflecting on a swim that someone has done and, you know, they did the best time. So we're reflecting back to Jeremy beating me comfortably in the 400 freestyle throughout the season. And I would say that's a ripper of a swim by Jeremy. And then somehow Jeremy's turned it into that's a right ripper. I don't know why. But I guess you can embrace that if you want.
I mean, I don't know, I like it. It works well. It also works if it's really windy out and you'd be like, that's a right ripper there, mate.
That just makes no sense, but...
What if it's
I'll
windy?
let Jeremy.
What? I mean, I think you
The
had
wind's
something
ripping
there
by.
until I think you had something until the wind was introduced.
No, ripper is supposed to mean good. But anyway.
Okay, I got some actual ones here listed though. We got get around me.
Yep.
Or get around me lads, which he
Yep.
also says a lot. Or oh.
Yes. Okay, those are all real.
You got anything else that I don't have listed here?
Well, it's funny, there was one time in the US when we just finished a swimming session, and the coach asked me how I feel. And I said, I feel all right, but I'm pretty stuffed.
Oh,
which
right.
means that you're tired. So yeah, I mean, if you run a marathon, you're definitely going to be stuffed after that. And so I said I was stuffed after training, and the coach said, well, maybe you should try eating less before training. I was like, what? No, you don't understand. So I had to explain that to him. What are the other ones you had there? Oath.
Oh, that's it. That's all I have.
Yeah, I mean, bloody oath. That's a very stereotypical Australian saying. So let's say Jeremy says to me, do you want to watch some Avatar with me tonight? I'll say, bloody oath I do. It means you agree with them in an eccentric fashion. Yeah, get around me. Let's say Jeremy did something, another fast swim. He might say, get around me. Or me watching him swim might say, oh, boys, we've got to get around Jeremy after this. So what are some other ones that we have? I guess the most common one is, what do you reckon? Which just means, what do you think? Or do you reckon this is good?
You do say that a lot.
Yeah, reckon kind of does get thrown up. And Australians do not call shrimp, we call them prawns. Throw another shrimp on the barbie is actually from an advertisement in the 1980s, I guess it was, after Crocodile Dundee became a popular movie and the Australian government wanted American tourists to visit Australia. And Paul Hogan, the guy who played Crocodile Dundee, he was featured in this ad for just tourism to Australia. And he, in the ad, said, come on, we'll even put another shrimp on the barbie for you if you visit Australia. And because, he was trying to use the American term. But yes, we do not call shrimp. We call them prawns. For anyone who thinks that throw another shrimp on the barbie is an accurate portrayal of Australian culture, you need to rethink that.
So now
a shrimp on the barbie in the desert?
Yeah,
without the snow?
Completely wrong.
No, I did meet an Australian here, actually. And she always says that she's stuffed.
Yeah, there you go.
Even though I met her at the conversation group and we go to a restaurant and so it's at dinner time and obviously we're always hungry, but she's always like, oh yeah, I'm stuffed from working today.
Now you have some more slang terms you can use if you ever see her again.
She also told me another one. I can't remember. It's like the Australian word for redneck.
Oh, bogan!
Yes, bogan. Yes.
Okay, well, we have to talk about that now.
I mean, I'm going to say that Chris is like semi-bogan.
Yeah, definitely.
He's also one of the bogan supporters of Port Adelaide.
That's true. I mean, I do have some bogan characteristics. I mean, how do I describe bogan? You know what? I'm going to quickly get the old Urban Dictionary up. But yeah, I mean, not specifically trailer park trash, but someone with a mullet who wears daggy clothes.
Well, it's like a spectrum, I think.
Yeah. Person, okay, here's the Google. In fact, this is a Wikipedia for bogan. Derogatory Australian and New Zealand slang word used to describe a person whose speech, clothing, attitude, and behaviour exemplify values and behaviour considered unrefined or unsophisticated. That is a very good definition.
So, well, that does sound quite like redneck then.
It's pretty similar.
Definitely, rednecks are a type of bogan, but bogan extends beyond that. People who are just generally, unsophisticated and...
So, when Chris walks around in his pajamas all day and his hair is really scruffy and he's got a beard a little bit.
Yeah, that's very boganish.
Yeah, he's sitting on the couch eating his ice cream, watching TV.
Yeah.
Jerry walks in and says, "Sup, bogan? Want to throw a shrimp on the barbie?" And then Chris says, "Get around me, mate." Get around me, lad.
Oh, God. We got some work to do on the Australian terminology, Stefan. But anyway, yeah, so that's a little bit of an idea of what a bogan is. But, if you saw a bogan, you would know, that is a bogan. Just, yeah, I mean, people who are part of motorcycle gangs tend to have some bogan attributes.
So, I got two more things to get to here. So, the first one is, do you have a shout out for anybody?
Jeez. Someone who's actually going to listen.
Yeah, no, you got to make sure that they listen. So shout out to somebody who you're not sure would listen to it, but then give them this episode and say, I gave you a shout out, so you better start listening to this cast.
Okay. Oh, jeez, you guys are putting me on the spot. All right, can you ask me the next question and I'll come back to it? Because I know that it'll keep me.
The next question, the last thing that I wanted to ask, you can give multiple shout-outs if you want. The next thing I wanted to ask is, can you give us your best Canadian accent?
Oh, easy, but you got to give me something to say.
Oh, Jeremy, you've also got to give us your best Australian accent.
I've been giving you my best Australian accent the whole podcast when I keep saying, that's a right ripper there, mate.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm only good at phrases and other accents. I can't just fly. I can't go on the fly.
All right, you got to give me something to say, though.
Stefan, you got something?
Say, I'm Chris and I'm giving a shout out to blah, blah, blah.
Nice, we can do them together.
All right.
I'm Chris. I'm happily a bogan, and I'm giving a shout out to.
I'm Chris. I admit that I am an Australian bogan, and I would like to give my shout out today to a dear friend of mine, all the way back in Australia, Henry Dawson. Hey.
No, can you say that with the Australian accent, or your typical dialect, just to give us some comparison?
I'm Chris. I admit that I'm an Australian bogan, and I'd like to give a shout out to Henry Dawson, who I went to high school with.
Nice, mate. Nice. Nice, get right. That's the phrase we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
I named that stuffed dolphin Troy gave me from Japan after that.
Do we have time for Nice Gary, or is that for another day?
I think we can tell the story and then we can begin.
Okay, well, cricket is the national game of Australia in the summertime.
And so for those who are not from Australia, summer is the whole year round in Australia?
That is a lie. Summer is the brutally hot period from
sounds like hell.
December to February officially, but I mean, we did have a heat wave in March one year of 15 days above 35 in Adelaide, which was pretty painful. It was while we were at school.
I got sunburned too, like 4 or 5 days ago, and it was like 14 degrees.
Oh, God, that makes me sick. Anyway, yeah, so we do get the odd heat wave. You know, we'll have a few days every summer that get above 40. But the general average temperature of the summer is, high 20s, low 30s. But then you get the, hot days every now and then. But, so cricket is played in the summertime. Beautiful game. Very unique sport. And it would take me an extremely long time to just explain the basics. But anyway, there are some small similarities with baseball. There is a man who stands behind what we call the stumps, which is the same as the, home plate in baseball.
Yeah, but you stand on the home plate in baseball, and in cricket you stand in front of the stumps.
Yeah, if you're the wicket keeper, which is the same as the catcher, you are behind the stumps.
Yeah, okay.
Which is, it's the same position as catcher in baseball. There is a ball, and there's a person delivering the ball, and there is a batsman. Anyway, the bowler, which is our term for pitcher, was delivering, this is in the recent Australian summer, there was a bowler in the Australian team by the name of Nathan Lyon, and there was an Australian rules football player, which is the most popular sport in most of Australia in the winter, along with rugby in other parts of Australia. Anyway, there was an Australian footballer called Gary Lyon. So Nathan Lyon is bowling for Australia in cricket, but there was an Australian footballer called Gary Lyon. And then because Australians love their nicknames, and sometimes they're not the most creative, Nathan Lyon's nickname became Gary in the Australian team and wider public. And anyway, so the wicketkeeper for Australia at the time, Matthew Wade, he was, catching the ball that Nathan Lyon would deliver. And after every ball, he started saying, "Nice, Gary," really loudly. And you could hear it on the TV, and then the commentators started to talk about Matthew Wade repeatedly saying, "Nice, Gary." And then it became a meme, pretty much the meme of the summer in Australia. So "Nice, Gary" became this really popular Australian thing, and now every time someone in our house gets the opportunity to say "Nice, Gary," we do. So yeah, next time you have a friend who does something, if you want to say something other than get around him or her, you can just throw out the "Nice, Gary," and they might say what, but you'll know.
So that's the origin story of my dolphin, Gary.
You know what the "Nice, Gary" means. Fact,
now I know where you got that dolphin from too.
Exactly.
Yeah, you didn't know that Troy got it for me?
No.
Oh, he's very cylindrical, very Japanesey. I think we got to talk about the most important thing the most important phrase that I learned right at the beginning of the year, which is currently on our fridge.
Oh.
On our fridge is a picture of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and it says, "Ohana means family, and family means nobody dogs the boys."
Okay, yes. Good question. So, dogging the boys, what does that mean, you ask? Let's say we're all in a group. Yeah.
Or Troy. I think you give an example of Troy not being here right now.
I was going to say, Troy not being here, he has dogged you a little bit. Did he provide a valid reason? Well, that's questionable because he's not dedicating his time to the boys. For example, right now, if we were on this podcast and Stefan's like, "Oh, I've got to go, like, hang out with my girlfriend or something," just unannounced, just dogs us. If you left like that and just leave me and Jeremy just completely in the dark, then that is your classic example of dogging the boys. Not that you would ever do that, Stefan, I'm sure.
No,
but,
of course not.
If any of you guys want to learn more about not dogging the boys,
There's a whole Facebook page.
there is a page, again, very vulgar Australian humour.
Is there any other kind of Australian humor?
Not from Chris's perspective.
No, that's a good question. It's called Yeah the Boys. Simply Yeah the Boys. They make some very colourful Facebook statuses sometimes about not dogging the boys and
sometimes about tents and wallets.
yeah. Let's try and find some examples that are podcast suitable.
Good luck.
No better feeling than going for a piss and splashes all over your legs and the person's next to you. Oh yeah, the boys.
Yeah, the boys. So wait, can I make this more Australian by adding it with another Australian saying and say, "Yeah, the lads."
Yeah, but they're kind of the same
the lads.
Thing. Yeah, you would never dog the lads, but like dogging the boys, just that is now well and truly ingrained in this generation's consciousness. People know what dogging the boys and Yeah the Boys means.
He's still looking for more suitable statuses. Yo, this is so similar to the last one.
Yeah, that one's so similar. When you're at Macca's, Australian term for McDonald's. When you're at Macca's and they forget the sweet and sour sauce in your nugget meal, effing disgrace. But yeah, I highly advise checking out the page Yeah the Boys. Again, if you want some more laughs. Yeah the Boys and Big Les. Couldn't recommend anything better.
So that pretty much describes top-notch Australian comedy right there.
Chris's style of top-notch Australian comedy.
Look, there are some other funny Australian things out there, but I guess like
the long sleeve appreciation page or the hair from the days gone by or whatever.
Yeah, Australians love to reminisce about their random sports stars from eras gone by.
Or yeah, that page too about that skater dude.
Yeah. Man, some of these statuses are Australian. Have you guys heard what a cane toad is?
No.
So Australia has a lot of problems with invasive animals because our ecosystem just can't cope with it. White man managed to ruin a lot of native landscapes and send a lot of native species to the brink of or beyond the point of extinction. And one problem that we introduced was cane toads, and they're a poisonous toad. I don't know where they're from originally, but they introduced them to try and control the cane beetle on sugarcane plantations. And completely went wrong, and they're now spreading all over Australia and causing all sorts of problems for native wildlife. And
I think I've heard of this because my cousins were saying how they would go out with golf clubs and
funny that you say that, Stefan, because this status that I'm reading right now from Yeah the Boys, flogging cane toads with golf clubs will never get old. That is so Australian, and Stefan, you've just proven it as well. But yeah, check out Yeah the Boys. Anyone listening, you will not regret it.
I think James would like it if he understood Australian culture.
Yeah, you might need to Google like some of the words and what they mean. They've actually shared a status here from Yeah the Dads. they love talking about dads as well, just like because they're boys. So yeah, slamming VBs down your son's throat at the age of 6. Just ensure he doesn't turn out a blank. Yeah.
It's just like how the water is turning those frogs blank.
Yes, indeed.
No, it's the chemicals in the water that's turning the frogs gay.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably going to be it for today.
Yeah, well, I sincerely hope that someone out there, even if it's just one person, checks out Big Les and Yeah the Boys from this.
The chances are pretty good.
Yeah.
The chances are pretty good. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Chris.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
What did we learn today, Stefan?
We learned about some Australian slang. Definitely use lads. Australia only has one season and no snow.
And I'm an expert on Australian culture.
Yeah.
Oh, we also wanted people to email us in about which was better for the Star Wars.
Oh yeah, we learned the prequels are better.
That's definitely the most important world issue that we've addressed today.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But no, Jeremy, you just can't just slide that in there like that. I saw that, or I heard that.
You're supposed to vehemently debate against me, Stefan.
This is me debating against you, but the problem is that I don't feel strongly enough one way or the other. So it's hard for me to be pitted.
There are going to be some
exactly
people out there who
against
feel
you.
very strongly.
Oh, we'll find something better next week because we got a couple of hot topics.
I don't know, man. I think that's one of the most controversial issues facing the world today.
But I mean between us, Stefan and
Yeah.
myself.
Oh, something that you two disagree on.
Yeah.
We also, we should get our listeners to write in about the Big Les. So if anyone checks that out, or checks out that Facebook page, they should give us their opinion on it.
Yeah. Also, just some advice if you do that. Make sure you only view YouTube videos from the Big Les Show official, because there are some out there that claim to be full episodes, but they cut out some important bits.
So, if you have any questions for us, you can email us at
OffTheChainPod
at
Gmail.
yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, well, I guess now we're off the chain.
Oh my god, we still have to discuss that because I don't know if we're going to keep the name Off the Chain.
We are in way too deep. Everything's all titled Off the Chain.
I thought you get
we already got a logo.
I thought you get off the chain when you go into the podcast, not when you sign out of it.
I wanted to introduce it by that and exit by that.
Yeah, I guess that's...
It's like a double entendre.
Yeah.